It's nice to see everyone. I'm Jeff Mazziata. Welcome to a new Getting to Know Japan webinar, right? Uh, let's see. So yeah, it's a bit hot today. I apologize. I'm a little bit sweaty. I've got my air conditioner on maximum, but it doesn't seem to be really doing much today. But like I said, I'm Jeff Mazziati, Activities Coordinator here at YCAPS, stepping in today for our usual host and program director of this series, Amani Kidd. She's behind the scenes today as she has been recently. Alongside of myself and Amani, we are joined by Dr. Yu Korekawa today, who will be presenting on Who Are the Foreigners? A little bit about Dr. Korekawa. He started his professional career as a staff economist of the Cabinet Office, Government of Japan in 2003, working for the Council on Economic and Fiscal Policy, which the Prime Minister chairs, actually. He was also Deputy Director in charge of policy planning and economic analysis and has obtained an academic position in IPSS in 2012 and been in charge in international migration and migration policy research. He's also been a delegate of Japan to the Working Party on Migration and Expert Group on Migration in the OECD since 2013, as well as a bureau member of WPM from 2021 to 2024 for the second term. I could actually go on and on and on because he's quite accomplished and is also the author of many papers and books. However, I will say, if you'd like to see his full bio, please check out our event page where we have that there. I believe we will also share maybe some links to one of his publications a little bit later in the chat box. If I can also just make a couple small notes before I hand it over to Dr. Korekawa. I just want to remind everybody to please refrain from turning on your microphone during the duration of today's recording and presentation. We want to avoid any hot mic issues. And also, I do again also want to mention that today's topic can be somewhat divisive, and it can be something that people do get a little fired up about. So I'd like to ask people to stay respectful of each other. We welcome a conversation in the chat box. We welcome all questions in the chat box. So please put them there and we'll get to them in the Q&A portion. But please let's keep it respectful of each other and each other's opinions and not coming at each other and arguing too much. All right, that being said, I am going to pass things over to our speaker today, Dr. Yu Korekawa.
Okay, yeah, thank you for a short introduction of me. And so today I'd like to have a short talk on my latest research on so who are the foreigners and Japanese. So a very kind of controversial topic so recently. But I'd like to take an approach to this controversial issue based on the demographic facts and the socioeconomic facts. And of course, definition is very important. It does matter so much, but at the same time, definition is driven by the reality. So it is produced by the reality we have. So, so before discussing the definition, which definition is correct, so we should take a look at the reality. So okay, so let's go to the so content of the presentation. So today I'd like to talk about mainly 4 points. So our first point is so yeah, this is the so message of my presentation. So Japan is the largest destination country in the international labor market in Asia, and we are becoming an immigrant society. So, irrespective of our preference on this reality, we should admit it at the beginning. So, second point is a little bit technical, but so new policies, especially regarding the labor migration policy, will enhance the acceptance of migrants to Japan today and of course in the near future. So it is kind of a core main driver of the change of the society. And third point is so integration. So integration is very important, and many people think that we, also Japanese government, lacks this policy, but it is not the case actually. So inclusion and integration of foreign workers in Japan is driven by employment system, Japanese employment system, where so you are employed for long term, and so your promotion will be inside their internal labor market. So this is so yeah, this is working relatively well for even for many foreign workers in Japan. And fourth is a conclusion of my presentation today, and I will show you the kind of how Japanese society will look like in the future. Okay. Okay. So yeah, so this is a picture, so graph showing the population development of Japan in the coming 50 years. So it is based on the latest population projection, which was released from my institute in 2023. And so striking result is that our population of foreign residents in Japan will be 10.8% in 2070. And the size of population with almost 9.4 million. And at that time in Japan, we will have about 87 million total population, and 10.8% of them are foreign citizens. And contrary to the expectation and kind of outlook for this projection at that time, so in 2023, so the speed of the population decline was a little bit delayed. So thanks to the rapid increase of foreign residents in Japan, despite lower fertility rate from the previous estimation. So it is a main driver of the population and societal society change of the society in Japan in the future. And the impact of international migration is very significant. So these two graphs show the trend of population development, total population development, and the development of trend of the percentage of elderly people to the total. And you can see this red line at the bottom. It is a benchmark, so medium scenario. And you can see almost 87 million population as of 2070. And you can see several so different scenarios. So on the net number of migrants per year and fertility rate. And high fertility rate scenario is about 1.64, which means average woman has 1.64 a child in their lifetime. So almost the same level as 250,000 net migrants per year. So this means we can kind of compensate the loss of the population by so net migrants so by this size. So you can also see almost same level as replacement level fertility 2.0, and at almost the same level, this green line means 500,000 net migrants, annual net migrants. So they are all almost equivalent. And you can also see the trend of the elderly people. So our medium scenario is the highest, and you can see those different scenarios and almost same impact as 250,000 net migrants and the high fertility rate in terms of the elderly population. Okay, so those two graphs mean that so annual net migrants, size of net annual migrants does matter, will matter in the future population development of Japan. And so next question is how kind of so how high is the likelihood of this scenario? So so 250,000 net migrants is actually below the actual acceptance, actual size of net migrants in the past few years. For instance, in the last year, Japan accepted more than 350,000 net migrants. And this level has lasted for this size of net migrants has lasted since 2022. So soon after the lifting the stringent border control due to the COVID-19. So this is yeah very reasonable, realistic scenario that Japan will accept this size of net annual migrants after. Okay, so as a result, how large the population size of the migrants in Japan? So this graph shows the foreign-born population, proportion of the foreign-born population among the OECD member states. And you can see that Japan is now at this rank. So yeah, very low number of migrants, percentage of foreign-born population among OECD member states, third lowest country among the member states. And the OECD average is now this one, 15.3%. And if we accept such a number of migrants, and based on the medium scenario, we will have 10.8% of foreign residents as of 2070. So this is still below OECD average in 2024. And if we accept 250,000 net annual migrants, the proportion of foreign-born population is almost same as the OECD average. So we still have a kind of huge room to accept international migrants in Japan. Okay, so this is a kind of basic understanding of our of the Japanese society in the future in terms of the migration. Okay, so from now on, I will show you 5 basic facts on this issue. So Japan has been regarded as a closed, homogeneous society which lacks an immigration and integration policy. And as a result, so today's question, who are the foreigners, is a very kind of narrow question. And but if we know those 5 facts, we can change our mind. So okay. So contrary to the very prevalent image of the Japanese society, Japan accepts more than 350,000 net migrants every year. So as I mentioned in the previous slides. And second point, so Japan has established several labor migration programs whose size are very huge, even among those of the other OECD member states. So more migrants will come to Japan and reside in Japan for long term. So yeah, and the economic growth of Asian countries is expected to attract more people for Japan, more people to Japan, and as a result, Japan will become an immigrant society in the future. So first point, so fact one. So Japan is accepting a large number of migrants. So yeah, I will show you some basic figures. First of all, so this is a largest picture of international migrants on the globe, and you can see Europe and North America accept the largest number of migrants from their southern countries. And Asia is actually a prominent hotspot of international migration. So the largest destination is Gulf Council of Cooperation countries. So Persian Gulf Coast countries, oil-producing countries, they are accepting the more migrants than the United States, for instance. Okay, and so we focus on Asia, and so Asia send 5.2 million migrants every year to the world. So the largest destination is Gulf Council for cooperation countries. So they accept 2.7 million migrants per year. And second largest destinations are OECD member states. so high income countries. So they accept 2.05 million migrants every year. And so surprisingly, so Japan is the largest destination for Asian people. So Japan accepts more migrants than the US and Korea. So Japan is the first, and second is the US, and third is Republic of Korea. Okay, so this is a graph showing the trend of three important indicators. So first one is the number of Japanese expatriates, and this green line means former colonial origin foreign residents, so ethnic Korean people in Japan. And this blue line means third country nationals in Japan. Okay, so as you can see, so before the World War II, Japan was a country of emigration. So Japan sent many Japanese people to colonies in Taiwan, Korean Peninsula, and Chinese continent. But after the World War II, Japan lost all colonies, overseas colonies, and those Japanese people came back to Japan, and about half of former colonial origin people went back to their country of origin. And until the 1980s, this is very low. So all three trends, lines are very constant. But after the 1990s, so at the beginning, so this red line, so number of Japanese expatriates went up. So thanks due to the globalization of the Japanese economy, and soon after soon after that, this line, blue line, went up, and it took over the Japanese number of Japanese expatriates in 1994. And after 1994, the gap between those two lines widened. So this means that in terms of the demographic statistics, Japan changed into the country of immigration from the country of emigration. So this is a reality. Okay, so now Japan is ninth ranked among OECD member states in terms of the annual net migrants. So first is the United States, and second is Germany, third is Canada, okay, and Japan. So yeah, this is our first fact. And so fact two, so this is about the recent policy development underlying this trend. So now Japan, it is a so figure showing the structure of Japanese labor migration policy. So there are two layers, one for non-manual worker, so high skill. So requirement is above bachelor degree. And there's another layer for manual work, blue collar work. So there are two programs. One is TITP and ESDP, so employment for skill development. And after that, a specified skill worker program was launched in 2019. So it covers 16 industries, and now it has more than 370,000 workers, and now it's more than 8,000 SSW2 workers who are allowed to apply for permanent residency, and they are allowed to stay in Japan as long as they want. So those two layers, and there are three programs, so TITP, SDP, SSW, are working now. But most significant characteristic is all those programs allow migrant workers to apply for permanent residency. So this is quite unique among OECD member states, especially regarding manual workers. So in other OECD member states, manual workers are not usually allowed to apply for permanent residency. So yeah, it's quite unique. Okay. So fact three. So how do many migrants establish permanent residency in Japan, and they are so now becoming moderately integrated into the society. So many people think have thought that Japanese government has lacked integration policy. So yeah, it is correct. But in the society, there is another kind part functioning as a integration policy, and this is a Japanese employment system. So as I mentioned in the at the beginning of this presentation, there's a step from international study to work and lastly permanent residency. So this process usually occurs within 10 to 15 years after arriving Japan. So yeah, actually, recently many newly admitted permanent resident people coming from former international students and high skilled workers and their family. So almost half of them are coming from those educationally channeled migratory process. So inside the working place, they are promoted inside internal labor market. And so in many cases until mid-career, so about age 40 to 50s, there's no big gap between employees in the Japanese employment system. So you will be promoted to uh, director and section chief, so head of the section. So and your salary will go up. So this enable many migrants to establish their socio-economic status in Japan and enable them to apply for permanent residency. So this is the structure of the Japanese employment system. So there are two parts. One is the internal labor market, as I mentioned, and other one is an external labor market. And so in the 1980s, so this figure was released from the Economic Planning Agency of Japan in 1988. And at that time, foreign workers employed from external labor market, irrespective of their skill level. But actually, this trend had changed in the early 2000s. So first change occurred among international students. So actually, the retention rate of international students is very high in Japan among being compared to other OECD member states. So this is due to the very unique recruitment system for new graduates. So a lump sum recruitment for new graduates is very popular in the Japanese labor market. So you can be hired for big international companies like Toyota if you only study kind of French literature in the undergrad. So, but if you have a good will and have a good potential, you can be hired even for big commercial banks. So this is a Japanese employment system. And once you are employed, you will be promoted until managerial position. So it's very unique system. So this works well even for international students. And in 2019, so new system, specified skilled worker system was launched. And this program allow many manual workers, mainly TITP, technical intern and trainee program workers, to stay in Japan longer than 5 years. So after finishing the TATP, they can shift to specified skilled worker program, and they are allowed to work in the workplace as long as they want. And finally, they can apply for a permanent residency. So this is a kind uh, integration kind of policy in Japan. And the wage gap is very small in Japan between native workers and migrants compared to other developed countries. So, but today I skip this slide. Okay, fact four. So the next question is how will many people come to Japan in the future? So I can say yes, because the economic growth of Asian countries is expected to attract more people to Japan in the future. So based on the latest migration theory argued by Hein de Haas in Netherlands, he argues that economic growth will accelerate immigration from a country of origin, along with the rise of migration aspiration and capabilities. So according to the latest IMF study, the pressure to send migrants decreases when GDP per capita reaches 2,000 US dollars, but migration to high-income countries increases up to 7,000. So actually many Asian, especially Southeast Asian countries, which send many nationals to Japan, ranged between this range, so between 2,000 to 7,000 per capita GDP. So for them, Japan is a kind of emerging destination because they don't want send their country national to Persian Gulf oil producing countries where labor conditions are very harsh. But at the same time, they don't have sufficient decent work for emerging middle class. So they want send their country nationals to high income countries in Asia, Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan. So based on this mechanism, migration from Asia is more susceptible to economic growth, and economic growth in Asia will increase migration abroad, especially to Japan. Okay, and based on the Gallup survey, Gallup World Poll, which is the largest poll on kind of wish for migration on the globe. So among Asian countries, Japan is ranked within 10th. And recently the ranking is going up. And so on the latest data set, Japan is third ranked next to the Arab country, the United States, and Japan. And interestingly, Japan is very popular among people with higher than secondary education, so high school diploma. So compared to other very popular destinations like Singapore and the UK, Japan is more popular than those countries in Asia and and the other side of the globe. Okay, so yeah, based on the IMF projection, we will accept more migrants, foreign workers from Asia. So based on the JICA estimation, JICA projection of labor potential supply of labor migrants in Japan, we will accept about 900,000 foreign workers per year in 2040. Okay. So yeah, last but not least, we will see how Japanese society will look like. Okay, so this is a kind of presentation based on the population projection. Okay, so based on the same methodology as official population projection of Japan, I can show you some future uh, of the Japanese society. Okay, there are a few assumptions on the international migration. So I define uh, the population with migrant background based on those definitions. So first part is foreign citizen. This is very easy to understand. So a person who has a foreign citizenship is classified this category. And next one is international child. So this is a child who has at least one immigrant parent. And third one is naturalized people. So those three people consist of population with migrant backgrounds. And my projection is a projection for this population. Okay, so assumption is very conservative. So just about 100,000 net annual migrants. Okay, so this projection is a little bit old. So first start line benchmark is population in 2015. So you can see, so yeah, at this moment, foreign size of the foreign citizen is just 2 million. But at the same time, you can see 847,000 international children and about 460,000 naturalized person, naturalized people. So as a total, so yeah, we will see. So okay, yeah. So non-native total is this one. So more than 3 million. So yeah, at this moment, official statistics only show this size of foreign residents, but actually, yeah, we had this size of population with migrant background. Okay, next one is 2040. So at this moment, foreign citizens is about more than 4 million, and so 1 million naturalized immigrants and 2 million international children as a total is more than 7 million. So yeah, it's more than official statistics. And so percentage is uh, so so 6.5% of the total population. Okay, and lastly, so we will see population in 2065. And at this moment, official population projection estimate about 5.6 million foreign citizens. And so I estimated the size of natural immigrants, so about 1.6 million, and about 3.5 million international children. And as a total, it's more than 10 million and 12% of the total population. So this is much larger than the size of the foreign citizen population. And okay, and next one. So those three graphs are total population on total population, but you will be surprised to see so ethnic diversity by each age group. So as of 2015, so as a total is very low, but if you focus on younger generations, younger cohorts, so you can see more than 5% so proportion of population is migrant background to the total. And as of 2030, it is higher than the average. So as a total, it's just about 4.7%. But if you focus on younger generations, you will receive more than 10% of the people with migrant background. So this is, yeah, very surprising. And among younger generations, it's very natural to have a friend with migrant background. So it means that so our definition on foreigners and Japanese will change if you see this graph. Okay, so to conclude, okay, is Japan become a country of immigration? So yeah, answer is very easy. So it's yes. So a large number of migrants are moving to Japan and so moving to their permanent settlements in Japan. And what will Japanese society look like? So as I shown in the previous graphs, so ethnic diversity will become larger, especially among younger generations. And there's a big kind of gap between generations. So even in 2030, so more than people higher than 45 years old. So the percentage is very low, so lower than the total. So there's a big generational gap. So yeah, it is quite important point to think about who are the foreigners or who are the Japanese so today. So yeah, it's my presentation. Jazzy, thank you.
Coming in from the chat still. I'll start as we organize them. I'll start with my own question to start us off. Um, you mentioned, well, I'll wait for that one. Let's see. Since we kind of stopped on projections, I was curious. So it kind of goes against your slide, fact four. I kind of wrote this question down before you went over to that slide. Um, but with the value of the yen being kind of relatively
Mhm,
lackluster over the last 5 years, obviously I know that the projections from 2020 IMF studies that obviously doesn't take into account the weakened yen that we've seen since
mhm,
then. So perhaps the question is still relevant. Um, it shows little hope of reversal in the short term for the value of the yen. I've heard and I've read articles talking about how Japan is losing its former position of priority for incoming migrant laborers, especially from places like Southeast Asia, as there are other
mhm.
alternatives that seem rosier, or perhaps their own economies rising to enough where Japan doesn't seem as great as it once was. What is Japan doing to fight back against the falling
Mhm,
yen value and remain a choice destination for high
mhm.
skilled immigrant workers?
Yeah, so it's very a good question. And so to for this question, there are two points to be discussed. So one point is so regarding the kind of migration theory, there are two hurdles for migration. One is kind of expected income in the destination, expected benefit in the destination, and the other one is cost of migration. And so actually, uh, so in many cases, expected benefit is kind of way more on the reality. So actually, cost is the highest hurdle in many cases. So at this moment, depreciation of yen accelerates the kind of migration to Japan. Because so since the 1990s, Japan is losing its economic position in the global economy, but number of migrants coming to Japan has been accelerated. So of course, our recent rapid depreciation of yen is very negative for the image of the Japan as a kind of economic success. But actually, it isn't the case. So for many Asian people, depreciation of yen means kind of lowering economic costs of migration. So that's why many people, including tourists, come to Japan amid of the rapid depreciation of yen. So yeah, it's counterintuitive, but I think it's the reality.
Yeah, it's definitely been a big boon for the tourist industry. Absolutely. Maybe perhaps, I guess the incoming migrants are feeling that, yes, even though the yen's weak now, the
Mm,
future should hold where the yen will eventually rise back, right? We did have a really good question by Andrew Marvin, and I think it's actually a really good one to start with. He asked, how has Japanese public opinion towards immigration changed over the past decade?
mhm,
And what factors have driven those changes? And I think
mhm,
for
mhm,
I've been here for a little over a decade, and I do feel a difference today versus the day
mm,
I moved to Japan in feeling.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, actually, yeah. So as the question raised, so recently, yeah, sentiment toward migrants and foreigners, uh, yeah, have changed a lot, especially in the past 1 to 2 years.
Mm,
So, for instance, according to the latest public uh, mind survey, it is revealed that so anti-migrant sentiment is rising in the last year, and especially so among our younger generation. So it is quite interesting because usually so far younger generation have taken a relatively positive attitude toward migrants, but the situation has changed. Probably, I think it is due to the rapid kind of prevalence of the SNS among younger generations. So they see many short movies on anti-migrant sentiments. So they are influenced negatively by those SNS. So yeah, I think it will change again due to the new kind of regulations on SNS usage among younger generations. So in Japan, it's not enforced, but in some OECD member states, so
Like
regulations
Australia.
on, yeah, also, yeah, like Australia. So yeah, if Japan enforced that regulation, the situation will change. But now, situation is very negative.
Well, I had a little bit of hiccup there. I didn't catch that, but that is interesting to think. I don't know. From me, I feel that a lot of times younger generations, if you try to enforce standards upon them, they usually will fight back in the opposite direction that you're hoping to go.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so I don't know if that's the best idea. But that does bring me, that is curious. So is the government doing anything to combat that then right now, other than the idea like you had, they could potentially do something to enforce some type of social
Mhm.
media restrictions, whether that's good or bad, I won't comment. But other than that, is the government currently doing anything to kind of combat this
Mhm.
rising anti-foreigner sentiment that we've been seeing, not only in Japan, to be fair, we've been seeing this
Mhm.
in many other nations in Europe and in the States long before this, and in some ways much stronger than we're seeing in Japan. But it seems like a lot of governments are all struggling with this.
Mhm.
Is the Japanese government doing anything to try to fight back against that sentiment?
No, actually no. So from my perspective, government Japan, especially high-ranked politicians, are now fueling anti-migrant sentiment
Mm,
rather than fighting against them. So I think, yeah, it's very bad. So very detrimental behavior,
mm,
and yeah, it will lower Japanese kind of economy and so lowering it will lower the power of the Japanese society. So
mm.
uh, yeah, it's
Yeah,
quite.
well, it's one of those things that I guess we just have to, you just kind of have to like ride the wave and see, and people will always adjust as things happen. And hopefully there'll be things that come out that can get a more positive slant. John Bradford actually had a question in the chat that kind of goes into
Mhm.
this. One of the things that maybe they could do is highlight some of the positive things. John asks, what are these foreigners, so to speak, doing to support the economy? Farm work,
Mhm.
factory work, service industry, management roles. How does this impact their physical distribution in different areas of Japan as well? I know we've also heard stories of certain areas being much more heavily prominent to have foreign
Mhm.
populations than others.
Yeah, so actually, so many migrant workers are kind of supporting Japanese economy in many places. So of course, yeah, in big cities like Tokyo, you can see many high skilled so migrant workers in many Japanese companies, especially in many SMEs, so small and medium size so enterprises. So many so Japanese so young Japanese workers don't want to work in kind of not so popular SMEs. So,
Mm,
but many Asian high skilled workers are applying for so those SMEs. So in Japan, there are many powerful and strong SMEs, but they are not necessarily popular for younger people. So yeah, they are supporting SMEs in yeah large cities. And at the same time, recently, Japan is accepting many manual workers in remote areas. So population loss is very serious, and in those areas, so many employers in remote areas, uh, yeah, yeah, welcoming uh, young migrant workers in those areas, and they are not only supporting their companies and economies at the same time, they are supporting kind of so for local festivals and
mm,
local cultures. So yeah, well, they are not never destroying the Japanese society. They are kind of supporting the Japanese society in terms of many aspects.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. In some ways, I think a larger foreign resident community could, in some ways, reinvigorate traditional Japanese
Yeah, exactly.
culture, because
Mm-hmm.
many foreign residents, whether they're tourists, foreign tourists, or residents, tend to seem to be very interested in wanting to like take part in things like summer
Mm-hmm.
festivals and have a very curious interest in ikebana and all these
Yeah,
other
yeah,
traditional things that perhaps young Japanese are like, I ain't got time for that. I want to get a job and work and support a family, right? So
yeah.
yeah, there could be positive emphasis to that. Speaking of the various programs that you mentioned of like
Mm-hmm.
the SSW program and
Mm-hmm.
things like that, Vivian had a question. With your data, you mentioned, she mentions the SSW program has been in place for more than 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And she was asking, what is the reason for the low rate of SSW2, less than
Mm-hmm.
7,000, compared to the number of migrants on
Mm-hmm.
SSW1,
Oh, yeah.
around 350,000, which is, roughly about 70,000 per year since the
Mm-hmm.
SSW1 is a 5-year program.
Mm-hmm.
Any factors into that? Why the low conversion rate?
Yeah, so it's very good question. So, yeah, the answer is very simple. So, SSW1 was launched in 2019, but soon after its launch,
Ah,
we went
cool.
into the COVID, and until 2022, so we accepted almost no new entrants of SSW1 worker from abroad. So only transfer from the TITP program. And next reason is that SSW2 program was launched later than SSW1. So at the beginning of the SSW program, only two industries admitted for SSW2. And so, of course, during the first 5 years, there will be no worker to be transferred to be changed to SSW2. So, government Japan launched many SSW program in 2024, and mainly skill exam were done mainly in 2025. So, so the reason why I says number of SSW2 worker is very small is kind of still at the beginning. So, but the speed of the increase, so rapid increase of the speed. After 2025, so yeah, it is growing rapidly since 2025. So it
So,
will, yeah,
so we should expect over the next few years things to more level out to what you
yeah,
might
yeah,
expect for that.
yeah.
That's a very good point. Yeah, for those of us who were in Japan during the pandemic time, it almost seemed like it was never going to end. I remember it was like late 2022, and I'm like, can I go to a bar yet? What's going on?
Mm.
Can I go to a sporting game yet? What's going on? Um, Yes, so we've got quite a few, and there is still time if anyone still wants to ask more questions in the chat. We've got about 10 more minutes of Q&A still available. I was curious, and I know Susan Kondo Matthews as well was a little curious. In your data, you mentioned when we are looking at the projections and we're looking at what composes a
Mhm,
foreigner, you mentioned international children. I know you did
mhm,
talk on this shortly, but I wonder if you can clarify. Susan wanted to know, could you please explain exactly what is meant by international children? Does
mhm,
it include children who have one Japanese parent? And
mhm,
have one foreign-born parent, and maybe because of that they have Japanese nationality, aren't such children considered Japanese, or are these
mhm,
children considered international
mhm,
children in your
mhm,
data points?
mhm. Yeah, so definition of international children in my presentation is child between at least one Japanese citizen parent and foreign citizen parent. So, but our nationality is Japanese in many cases, and in many cases dual citizenship for those children. So in the statistics, official statistics of Japan, so they are classified as Japanese. But I kind of shed light on how many international children are in the Japanese population. So kind of they are kind of yeah, sorry, how to say, yeah, but we cannot see them in the official statistics, so hide it from the scene. So yeah, that's why I shed light
I
on
see.
those
I see.
people. Yeah.
So it kind of, I see. So it's not necessarily that the government itself would be looking at them as non-Japanese or the population. It's just to give us a
Mhm.
greater view. Yeah, because when you say like 10% of the overall would be, foreigner, and then a large percentage that look to be the international children, it really
Yeah, exactly.
like, okay. Yeah, I have heard several times from different sources of the much higher predominance
Mhm.
of foreigners within the younger populations.
Mhm.
Okay, very interesting. Speaking of that, those high population numbers and growing foreigner population, shrinking Japanese population, your 2065 projections, Japan down to maybe just under 90 million total people with
Mhm.
10% or more as foreign. Davis asked the question, how prepared is Japan to support a much larger, more permanent migrant population? One thing I know I was thinking about is with this SSW, growing SSW program and the changes, the permanent residency being like an N2 level Japanese, they've been talking about, something like offering help with migrants and learning Japanese or other things like that could potentially help. But
Mhm.
how prepared do you say Japan is to support this growing population? Because it's going to
Mhm.
happen one way or the other, right?
Yeah, so it's still at the beginning. So since 1920, since 2019, government Japan started integration official integration policy for all foreign residents in Japan. But it is, yeah, still at the beginning, and the budget size is still very small relative to other so kind high level migration country like Germany. Uh, but I think more important thing is that how the boundary between Japanese and foreigners will change in the future. So how people kind of live together in one society, irrespective of their origin, differ from country to country. So ethnic boundary is different, yeah, country to country. And in Japan, I don't think there will not be stringent, for instance, phenotype-based ethnic boundary. But and of course, we will not have kind of stringent ethnic boundary based on religion. But probably we will weigh more on kind of spoken language and Japanese language ability and kind of behavior and attitude towards the people in the society, kind of soft skill. So even Japanese people with foreign background sometimes regarded as a foreigner in terms of their behavior. So kind of cultural adaptation will matter. So to think about ethnic boundary in Japan and so yeah, I can calculate the percentage of foreign population in Japan in the future, but I don't think it will correctly, precisely show the image of the Japanese society in the future. So if the ethnic boundary will change, we will see totally different kind of societal scene in the future. So I think it will be more important.
Yeah, I will be very curious. I know that historically, a lot of times international residents or folks outside of Japan will look at the way that non-Japanese are portrayed in Japanese media or
Mhm.
on Japanese television and feel that a lot of times it's very stereotypical or playing into these stereotypes of what foreigners are or how
Mhm.
foreigners are or One of my friends from university wrote several good pieces recently, as she's half Japanese and half African American,
Mhm,
and she looked into the portrayals of Black people in Japan and how
mhm,
many of the media portrayals were quite stereotypical. And in her view, it kind of reinforces this not necessarily positive view. But as
mhm,
with a growing foreign population, I wonder if those type of portrayals are going to have
mhm,
to
mhm,
adjust as well, and if that could possibly help people to feel more harmonious.
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
but yeah, it seems to be very sticking. I still see when I look at restaurants, I see reviews from people and they say, "Wow, there was a
mhm,
lot of foreigners in the restaurant when I went today," and things like that.
mhm,
And it's one of those things. Well, I hope we can all kind of grow together. And I think the foreign residents here do have the best in mind and are
mhm,
here to make Japan a good place to live.
mhm,
Um, that being said, there are a lot of assumptions about about foreigners in Japan. Vivian had a question
mhm.
asking about these assumptions. What are the assumptions about the Japanese job market for foreigners when calculating projected immigration numbers? Right? Like, are they assuming like X number of people are going to go into this industry? Uh,
Mhm.
foreigners coming from here will be doing this type of job, etc. Um, what type of assumptions are being made, be it by the
Assumptions
government?
assumptions on not on my estimation. It's more general question about the assumption on the movement of migrant workers between industries.
It could be both on your numbers or if it's government prediction
Ah,
and
mhm.
where
Okay.
they're trying to.
So yeah, regarding my projection. So regarding my presentation today, I showed you yeah, projection of foreign workers toward Japan, but it does not take into account movement between industries. So it's just a estimation projection on the supply side. So on the side of the country. At the same time, SSW program has a assumption on the migrant labor movements between industries, and but it's not precise and it's pretty rough estimation, and it fails. Actually, it has already failed to estimate the demand of the SSW workers for restaurant industry. So yeah, it's like a social rhythm. So it's very hard to estimate the size of the demand and supply, and especially movement between industries. So, yeah, it's very difficult. So yeah, but I think so. One point I can say is that in Japan, almost all industries and all companies will be in labor shortage. So yeah, it is a reality. So yeah, so in this sense, it's very easy to assume future trend.
So we're either going to have a foreign laborer or a robotic laborer, but there's going to be some shifts happening one way or the other. It's very good. Sadly, we are about out of time, but I think we got through most of the questions. So I want to say thank you to everybody in the audience today for asking questions. Keeping this as such an engaging topic. I especially, of course, want to thank our speaker, Dr. Korekawa. We really appreciate you taking time out of your day or your evening to come
Yeah,
out here and have this talk with us. Past that, we've also got some thank yous I'd like to do. So today's talk, along with other talks in this series of foreigners in Japan, has really only been able to happen because of the patronage of Mr. Ben Karp. So YCAPS would like to extend their thanks to Ben Karp. Uh, Thank you so much for this. Without your patronage, this event could not have happened. We've had several pub talks as well in person in Tokyo area along this series, and we've really gained a lot from it. So thank you, Ben, for that. And last but not least, for all of our online events, we want to say thank you to FadTech. They help provide us with mobile internet service, and without which, I'd have probably dropped out of this call 10 minutes ago. So thanks a lot, FadTech. We do appreciate that as well. That's all that we've got for you today. Thanks everyone for being patient and listening to my spiel at the end. Again, I want to give a thanks to Dr. Korekawa. We really appreciate you taking out the time. I've been lucky enough to learn from you both in person at our pub talks as well as here online. So thank you again, sir. Really appreciate it.
yeah. Thank you.
All right. That does it for us for today. Thanks, guys. Everybody stay safe and stay out of this heat.
YCAPS would like to thank Mr. Ben Karp. Thank you for your patronage, without which this event could not have happened. Thank you. Bad Tech's IT support and mobile internet service helps make events like this one possible. Thank you.